Welcome aboard for another video.
Thanks, Conductor Keith.
Hello, so the purpose of this video is that I took possession about a week ago of a 1990s Accucraft Ruby that, well, didn't run. Actually, it did. You could run it halfway around a small loop, and then you had to nudge it. Then it would wait, and you nudge it again. It just didn't run. And this is the locomotive. Well, I'm filming this after I did all that work, so what you're seeing is the final result, okay? So I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is the engine and the problems. Well, the frame was bent, so it rocked kind of like an irritating chair in a restaurant. You know, you sit in a restaurant, it goes clink, 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 clink. Well, this rocked on the rails like that. This steam chest here, as you'll see, you just crack this steam regulator open just a bit, and it goes like a rocket. So I solved that a little bit. I made it better. The burner didn't burn. It burned a little bit in the flue, but most of it all burned inside the smoke box. There was terrible trouble getting it lit to start with, and if you could keep it lit, if once you close that, you could keep it lit. Most of the fire burned in the smoke box. Took forever for steam to come up, and then you ran it halfway around the loop, and the steam was gone.
This is an old Ruby, an old Accucraft Ruby. No matter what I tried to do, the flame burned in the smoke box. A little bit down the flue, but mostly in the smoke box. And that's very inefficient. This is the burner, and this is a burner. A sleeve was over the burner. It's not getting enough air. These holes in the burner allow air to come in and mix with the jet of butane. I've made them about 1/8 of an inch larger. What I'm not saying here is that I shaved a little bit off with a smaller drill bit and then worked my way up with bigger drill bits, shaving a little bit at a time, putting it in, laborious process, putting it in and trying it and lighting it until voila, it lit perfect every time. So I'm going to put it back in and see what happens. The burner is held in with that little tiny nut. See? So it's imperative to have the right tools. I have a whole pile of tools for all my various steam engines, and all these things, including tools I've made, like shaped myself, all work. You think this is a small spanner? Look at this piece of work. There we go, just making sure everything's nice and tight, and we'll give it a whirl. Well, that's good news. That's a bit of a problem. I contacted Accucraft, and they no longer have the gaskets for this locomotive. So I looked online, and somebody suggested taking some brown envelope paper or some brown paper bag, cutting it into the shape of your gasket, soaking it in furniture polish or varnish, and then trying it out. So that's what I did. The steam regulator here is not very fine. It's going to take this off of here, and I'm going to make that end finer. I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way on this drill. I should now experience a little finer control with that. So the last thing I've done is put a bit of grease on the threads there. And now it's going to be time to see how well it works. So for the cab, I have this scrap piece of steel I've glued on there. There's a magnet on V-Hand's foot so that, he can just sort of get on there like that and drive the train. Okay, so she's blowing off. Now the moment of truth. When I put the locomotive in gear, I'm going to add some steam, and there's no leakage from there that I can see. So green is the corporate color of the Pencross Railway of Eastern Ontario. This is the cab sides that came with this locomotive. And so I'm going to turn it a little more corporate. Voila. Now the next step is to take my vinyl stickers that I made the logo for the Pencross Railway of Eastern Ontario. Had them printed at stickeru.com to here. And I'm going to put the logo on the cab side. That way it'll match this equipment. I like to keep scraps around, like this dry transfer sheet. And I randomly gave this locomotive the number 9. No reason for the 9 other than that I don't have any other locomotive numbered number 9. So dry transfer on. Now I'm going to put a dollop of clear lacquer over that so that it won't scrape off. There, that looks good. If you've been paying attention to the shots in this video so far, you'll remember it had these buffers on there. And I like this kind of buffer because I can use chain, or I can put in the Katie coupler that I've made for my Accucraft Shea. Voila, here it is. So you got the pin, right? Your pin goes down there. That's my Katie coupler. However, I can still put a chain in there and pull my Swift 16 45mm gauge cars from the UK. So that gives me much more latitude than with this. Now, when I got this locomotive, these buffer beams were extra and came with it. The only problem was there was not enough nuts to put all this together. So I sourced nuts out of my parts box. I keep every kind of old nut and bolt, including teeny weeny ones that you probably can't see because they're all at the bottom in there. But yeah, and you know, over the years, keep stuff, and sure enough, the nuts and bolts fit. So why don't I steam up the engine and let's have Vihan, the driver, give it a whirl. I see that Lord Michael, the chairman of the Pencross Railway of Eastern Ontario, and Conductor Keith are very pleased with his new engine and how it's turned out. All right, things are going well, things are going well. So while Vihan is getting the locomotive ready, Lord Michael has climbed into his car here, and Conductor Keith is on the rear platform waiting to go as well. So far, everything is going really well for the inaugural run of Old Number 9. And of course, it's going to go around and round my industrial loop here. My industrial loop, of course, does have staging that goes off to the back of the garage here where it connects to the rest of the world. But here inside of the private industrial loop of the Pencross Railway of Eastern Ontario, Lord Michael is going to allow this locomotive to stretch its legs. And of course, the garage door is cracked open. All right, so boiler is almost up to pressure. Safety valve is leaking around, so it lifted. Yep, there it goes. There's the safety valve. And of course, the boiler is topped right up, so some boiling water is going to come out through there. You turn down the gas a bit. What you're going to see happen is it's going to have to clear the condensate. Not only is there condensation in the system now, but as the steam hits the cold cylinders, it's going to, you know, make a mess and come out as sticky water and stuff. So you just got, you know, you've got to work it along. And that's normal. This is normal for this kind of engine. And it's going to clear its throat. This is clearly an express train.
Oh, it's a fast express today, Henry. It is indeed, Marge, yes. What do you think, Friar?
So I'm used to longer run times, but this is a really small gas tank. It's the smallest one of any of my engines. It's not a very large boiler. I can't expect it's going to go 30-40 minutes like some of my other engines, but it had a good run. I was quite impressed. It's running as it was designed to do back, you know, when they first started making these older versions of the Ruby. So I'm just going to let boiler pressure off. All in all, I'm very pleased with this engine. It runs extremely well. The old Rubies, you know, ones like this one from the 1990s, don't have a reputation for running the best, but you know, it did run really well. I hope that maybe you picked up a few tips you might find useful in the future, like making the gasket or shaving the steam regulator. It did work. I got a little more control of speed. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this video.